You know, because that's a psychological warfare here, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to be aware that that's what they do. These Globers,
That's a great
assassinate. Not everyone.
It's a great obfuscate.
Yeah, not everyone in this server does well.
It's a great way to obfuscate as well. You know, the question that they're being asked. Like, instead of answering, they'll just attack the person asking the question. But yeah. But let's get back to the topic, man.
You see the problem with the Andromeda paradox, though, or?
Yeah, it requires the assumption of the one-way speed of light.
Sorry, what was that?
I just Googled it. It seems to require the assumption of the one-way speed of light for it to be applicable in any way within a paradigm of distances that are not comprehensible to any person on this plane.
Yeah, this is a paradox in special relativity. Yeah, speed of light, all special relativity.
Yeah. So the paradox is only applicable within the assumption of special relativity. Yeah, not
reality. If you think special relativity is true, you got this paradoxical thing going on. Yeah.
So it's only applicable paradox if you think special relativity applies to reality. If you don't think that, it's just a pile of nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Why do you bring it up then?
Well, for if anyone here thought special relativity was the real deal Holyfield, you know, they might have a little issue on their hands. I don't know, man. I was trying to get something going. You guys were in like this Middle Earth Hobbit Harry Potter conversation going on. I was trying to
you were trying to save our souls. What a righteous person you are, sir. Thank you.
You're half in the bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get something going.
I'm glad. At the point of you thinking we were descending into absurdium, you thought you'd throw in a bit of absurdium.
Something against Harry Potter, Jeremy?
Save our souls. What a good guy. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yo, Mr. Meiken.
You're welcome.
What up, Mr. Meiken? Don't be mad at Jeremy.
No, bro. How are you doing, mate?
Good, brother. Yes, sir.
Respect. Happy 2025. It's been
fucking still not spinning. Fucking right.
I'll tell you what the other day. I was in the shop and I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, I'm singing to myself, I should say, welcome to the show. You don't know. You're part of the show. You're a legend. And
that's his only good song, dude.
No.
Mr. Meiken, thank you, sir. Fucking, you're a legend too, man. Fucking right. Yeah, it's good to see you over here, dude. I miss you, dude.
It's lovely to pop in. It's good to watch people drop. Yeah. There's still those that remain, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think you know, like I haven't got into it the last time we were talking. It's like, man, like the more people leave, it's all right. You know, it's cooler anyway. You know. Because I was thinking, like, you know, that line about, you know, it's like art is like to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. You know, like flat Earth is like that. You know.
It certainly does that, doesn't it?
What's that?
It certainly disturbs the comfortable.
You know.
What are the fun?
Yeah, I've been getting into dark polarity. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with my take on that lately.
Well, if you thought my thing was bullshit a minute ago, Adam,
I know. Yeah, but I know if he comes in with dark polarity, you've got to take the 2 words and go, okay, I respect you, so run with it. So that's go with your dark polarity.
Yeah, dark polarity, man. And that's I think of it. It's like what explains the necessity of any use of the Haversine formula. You know what I mean? It's like it's all that.
Absolutely a non-conjectural link, but sound intellectually correct. I love it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's a correction. It's a placeholder.
Now, Haversine, yes. I'd allow that description with the Haversine. It's a correction. It's a placeholder. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, you know.
On about it. I like it,
though. Sorry, man. I got a lot going on over here. Yeah, dark polarity. Dude. I think it's when it reaches the level of absurdity, you know, that's where dark polarity comes into play.
Is that when you need those special shades, like in We Live? can see through it. The dark polarity.
Well, I feel like they end up like, yeah, I love that actually. Isn't that fucking wild how that works with this? How's Cammy doing, man? How's everybody? I haven't even fucking talked to like anybody. Like,
I haven't seen Cammy since they kicked me out of Iron Realm, but I did. Like, I looked at it the other day and I went, "See that icon Cammy's still using? I made that. I drew that." It's good to see that things persist, even though you're not necessarily still involved. We've all got to
Oh,
go
yeah.
on our journeys, haven't we? What we mustn't do is destroy each other, yeah. Unless we're shithouses like Jaren or Witsit, which is where you've seen me for the past year, having to call in a horrible position of having to call people out, as I could see clearly that they weren't there for the betterment of this ideology. Yeah, and sometimes you got to do that. It's not why I joined this community. It wasn't you either, was it, dude? Yeah, I can see why you step away from it. It's vile at times. It's a shit house. It's a horrible place to be.
Well, I think of it as like it's it's entertainment. I've I look at things like Flat Earth, man. Like Flat Earth is like a fine wine, man. Like it's not for everybody. It's you know what I mean. It's like people are into it or not into it, and I can't condemn people for their. Or I can't like. I don't know. I can't. I've never. I mean, I guess I've been known to judge people, but at the same time, like you got to give people that leeway. But then when it comes down to the subject matter, I think the argument has to be made against the subject matter, not necessarily the character of people. It sucks when it delves into the character of people and it becomes a battle of like, opposing people. Because like I happen to like Witsit, that
Well,
saddens me that you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, I also like, I love Oakley and I love you. And it's like, I don't, I just,
Witsit's
to
a
me,
great
it's,
example, dude. Okay, so at what point have I attacked Witsit really directly? If you look out there on the internet, there's a lot of stuff, marital stuff that's going. I would not go anywhere near that. It's nothing to do with my argument. When he invoked Aether and downward, yeah, and they're things that are worth challenging intellectually, and then demonstrating that you're not being intellectually honest with it. As for the rest of it, destroying a man, nothing to do with me. I see it out there, mate. But
well,
that's not
what's the beef? What's the beef of the ether? Because I mean, other than like, if I'm not mistaken, is it just because it's like another part of a dichotomy, or is it like what's the argument against the ether?
as the flat Earth debate emissary to the Ethereans. My sole question was always been to define what ether is, so we could move on. 4 years later, I think it is, we're still yet to get an answer to that. So, as the emissary to the Ethereans, I'm not sure what to move on with. I've listened to a lot of their rhetoric, but even I've not been able to put it into a salient argument.
Well, I think of like I think of like when I think of ether, I think of like fields of like electromagnetic. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think of. Like I mean, that's what it kind of.
I mean, I'm feeling warm inside right now, and fluffy and etheric and magnetic-y, and it's beautiful, isn't it? To think that the God is one, and there's these fields that can resonate within me, and can I prove it? To speak to other people honestly, and portray that as part of that reality with any integrity. Can I?
Just real quick, man. Look, if they want to talk about light as a wave function, right, it needs something to perturbate through. So, the luminescence ether is a kind of proposal that's put forward. And then what is the ether? Well, what is air to water? Or what is gas to liquid in that sense? So whatever the ether is just that same relationship, but to air.
What's
Get where I'm coming from?
What's it? I know. Actually, I know when you say
air,
gas, you say liquid.
What gas is to water,
and
ether is to air. Or ether is to gas. What is
gas
it?
is to water, ether is to air. You see my problem here? As the emissary to the Ethereans, it's not for me to interpret that. It's for me to tell the FED panel what that actually means. Your description, not my interpretation.
It's the medium through which the wave-like properties of light perturbate through. You need a medium there. You can say you can suck all the air out of a chamber and then put light through it, and it still runs through, right?
That's what Witsit would say. But,
sure.
Okay, carry on.
Oh, that's about all. I'm just jumping in for that, man. You're asking questions. Those are the things that I've sort of come to. I explained that to another gentleman the other day, and he seemed to be like quite sort of receptive to it.
I'm not asking any questions with regards to an imaginary medium that allows the perturbation of a luminiferous ether through a presupposed medium. I don't see the behavior of light like that. Okay. And if somebody wants to describe it like that, that's cool, but support it if you're going to do that. But what we end up with is this circular do-si-do of nothingness where nothing's supported, just that we think about waves. Yeah. There's nothing there to then grasp onto and move forward with. Yeah. And it's not like I poo-poo it as an ideology that I'm not prepared to investigate, but when I do, there's nothing there to move forward with.
I mean, yeah, no doubt, dude. It's the extent of our perceivable limitations as biological beings rolling around in this realm. So yeah, there are just going to be things that we can't sort of physically touch, but we need to intuit. If you got a problem with that, I don't know, man. Deal with it.
No, that's cool, and I don't deny that. But in accepting that, we recognize that it's not a medium we can then manipulate or deal with or interpret. If we're going to put it into this area that is metaphysical, then there's nothing we can do with it in terms of science in it and comprehending it. It's just something that is. Just like we can define light as a particle, describe it, but somehow there's this wave behavior that in our basic understanding means there has to be a medium of the propagation, even though there's not really a propagation. Yeah. And
well, do you think light's a particle? Do you think a photon is a particle? Is that what you want to go with? You prefer that?
No, I'm not trying to make a claim. I'm trying to make the point that I'm agreeing with you. There's a limitation of our understanding, and when we get to that point, and whether we've conceptualized it beforehand, we recognize there's a limitation to how we can describe it in terms of our known reality, and that's the point where you have to stop. Yeah? That's at the point you invoke ether, then you've not stopped. You've invoked something else that you can't prove to continue your nonsense, and that's where I have a problem.
It's a challenge. Okay, so there's a dialogue that's occurring right as to the nature of light. They want to call it a particle. It doesn't make sense to me. So the alternative is to discuss this thing called the ether, in order to explain the qualities that we see of light. Is it a placeholder of some sort? Sure, man. But I mean, would it be like if I had to have a choice between the two, whether or not to think of light as a particle or light as purely a wave function that needs a medium? That's where I'm headed.
Wave function. You see my point there? Not a wave. We've not measured a ripple in a medium. We've described the behavior of a particle distribution as a wave function. That's the trouble. Now, that's not to say that in a secondary metaphysical world that I can't deal with or can't even perceive that it isn't a wave. But that's the point I have to give up and say, yeah, I can imagine all I like. I can't prove any of that. And that was where we had problems with Witsit. He was going to fellow flat earthers and claiming he had proof because he took a Honeywell bull optical gyroscope up and down a mountain a couple of times with Bob No Doubt. Yeah. The reality of where you guys were getting mugged off to believe in this ether. I've got no problem with somebody presenting me an ether. The second you present it, I'll deal with it. Nobody's presented it yet.
So, Room just quiet.
Seems to be. That was really abrupt.
Yeah, I thought someone was explaining something.
Yeah, whoever that was, you still there? I got a question. A follow-up question.
Well, I explained my position. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel like we needed further accounting for or repetition.
The other gentleman, when he was saying it was just a wave function, is he saying it just like that wave vibrates through empty space without a medium? Since we lack evidence of either. Is that what he was saying?
I don't know. I suppose like he's trying to be more conscientious and cautious of making sort of claims as what is proof versus what is evidence. I merely have evidence, and I think it's actually really hard to prove anything. So, 100% right. So at some point you just got to say that's good enough. I've looked at it long enough, and you go on with your life.
It sounds like I pretty much agree with him if that's what he was saying, that like there's nothing that Aether does that electromagnetism through space doesn't do. Seems like, and I think I've called Aether a placeholder before. It's like just another name for whatever the background substrate of the unit, of it all is.
Yep. I don't know, man. Like Aether can be in the the heliocentric. There's a fellow over in Aether Cos. He's like a professor, PhD or something. He's got a whole thesis on Aether that he put forward, but I think he's geocentric.
Yeah. Does a magnetic field need a medium in your view?
No, I haven't thought about magnetism as so much as in that context.
Or like a static electric field that doesn't need a medium.
I suppose not. No. But maybe maybe what you're observing is the excitation of the Aether, using magnetism or something. Maybe that's a good point.
Like my view of light is that it's just interwoven electric field, magnetic field, one inducing the other, without in a way that unless there's a material like air to absorb it, it doesn't it's basically effortless, one inducing the other. And if neither electric field or magnetic field need mediums, then neither would light, the way I comprehend it.
Well, what is it? What is electricity except for you've got a potential? That's the only time you can ever really measure electricity is when it's moving too. From my understanding, you can't really measure it when it's static. The only reason you can measure it in geometry is because you've got a neutral that you're sort of you're tagging as the what would it be? Like you're measuring against that neutral. That neutral doesn't even I've played around with electric and automotive stuff enough. If you've got a 12-volt circuit next to a 24-volt circuit, you can go put your prongs around. You think you've got 12 volts there, but because you're two positives, you've got a 12-volt positive and a 24-volt positive. You go measure it, it looks like a 12-volt circuit.
Yeah,
but yeah, I know it's an interesting question as regards to magnetism.
If radio waves are light, the radio antenna is just a piece of wire with it's tuned to a certain AC frequency, and that creates the radio waves, quote unquote waves, via alternating current. Then that induces magnetic field. That magnetic field collapses, induces alternating current at whatever frequency the radio wave is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't got too much else to say though, man. If anyone else wants to jump in, by all means. I've got to. I'm sort of trying to tinker around here at the moment.
Does anybody know anything about quantum foam? Do you see what I put in the chat?